TK here, coming from a place of integrity. In today's video, we're going to talk about consciously creating exactly what happens around us in our lives. More importantly, we're going to determine the better strategy for creating that reality. Calm and detached versus specific and intense. So to spoil the video, I'll go ahead and tell you the answer is both. And soon you'll understand why. So here's what I like to tell people when they ask this question in a private coaching scenario. If you can figure out how to only vaguely think about topics that make you feel negative emotion, and then figure out how to specifically think about topics that make you feel positive emotion, you will have figured out how to intentionally create your reality. The more you talk about unwanted things, the more you daydream about them and wonder about them and act them out in your head, then the more specifically those unwanted things become real in your life. You're still creating your reality either way, but by doing so negatively, you're basically declaring, I want to create chaos all around me. So, what's funny here is that most people get caught talking out of both sides of their mouths. Everyone says they want a good life. They say they prefer to get what they want, but then they go and create a reality based in chaos. So, what is chaos exactly? Chaos is just uncertainty. Chaos is just a little bit of everything. Some days up, some days down, all sorts of possibilities coming at you. And then the knee jerk emotional reactions that arise once you've had a chance to judge the circumstance as either good or bad. If you want to start seeing success come more quickly, then you've got to stop choosing chaos or uncertainty and instead start choosing the opposite of chaos, which is obviously certainty. You've got to know what's coming down the pipeline. And the only way to know what's coming is to know how you're going to react when it arrives. That's the essence of what we're talking about. And the only way you can know how you're going to react is if you have already practiced yourself into an emotional state of assuming the best, specifically feeling good emotions like love, peace, and goodwill. So, what we're really talking about here is practice, the practice of putting yourself in a position to succeed without having to micromanage your thoughts all the time. Now, be honest with me. Is your average train of thought really reflective of what you want all the time? Is it? Are you really offering a steady stream of deliberate consideration about your desires? Or are you offering a steady stream of thought about your current situation? That's what most people do. What sorts of thoughts do you practice? If they're negative, are they at least vague in their negativity? Or are you thinking about the negative with great certainty, very specific malice? Are they thoughts that imply you are reaching for more? Or are they thoughts that imply you're frustrated with what you've become and anxious to go somewhere different, to be somewhere different? Are you starting to see how deliciously simple life can be if you already know how you're going to react when new situations arise? Life is simple when you've practiced the specific feeling of things going right. Because with practice, you stop consciously thinking about the pros and the cons, the pluses and the minuses. And instead, what do? You rely on muscle memory. It's no different than a basketball player shooting free throws or a football player catching touchdowns. It's the practice that makes it so that life feels quite easy and fun. It's muscle memory. And then the success that we all want comes from the outside of us when people start noticing how easy our lives look because of the practice. So if you can live a simple life of fun and of exuberance and winning, then the world will always exalt you for it. I'm telling you, all of this goodness is just begging to break into your life right now as we speak. If you could trick yourself into just being in a good mood for a couple of days, then you'd start to catch a real glimpse of it. The only thing holding you away from your material success is this chaos of uncertainty that we were talking about a minute ago. That little voice in your head whispering to you about the dangers of positivity or the pitfalls of naivete. But that voice will quiet once you decide to speak less specifically about your complaints and instead start speaking more specifically about the opposite of complaining, about appreciation. Truly, your singular work is to start finding ways of thinking about subjects that once made you feel badly, but now in new ways that make you feel better, maybe even good. Period. That's it. If you can start to ease that nagging responsibility you feel to judge things positively or negatively, and instead just find the silver lining in whatever comes your way, you'll simplify your life. Okay. You'll simplify your life in incredible ways. What have we stumbled on here? We just stumbled upon the notion that moments of life should be judged as either good or bad. But that is a total fallacy. It's the capacity to judge in a general sense, which is what we should care about. That's what we should be noting rather than these specific judgments, which we levy in moment to moment living. So it's not the judgments themselves, but it's the ability to judge. And this is the leap. This is the hardest leap for most people to make who are just starting out on their spiritual journey. We've all lived so long in this trap of our own making, which says, I must claim what I want and push away that which I don't. We have long thought that by pushing away unwanted things, that those unwanted things would stay away from us or maybe avoid us altogether. But that's not how this life experience is set up. There is no way of pushing away. The judgments we make do not actually affect our reality in any meaningful way. Instead, it is our ability to judge which is so crucial to this mysterious process of concocting reality. And why is that? Because an ability to judge means we have been given the ability to choose. We can choose to see circumstance as a stepping stone or a barrier. We can choose to complicate our lives or to simplify them. Really, our ability to choose means that there must be power in what? In attention, attending to something. If we did not have the ability to choose our emotional destinies, then our attention wouldn't matter. We would just be clumps of cells moving through a totally chaotic experience. Everything would be utterly meaningless. And truly, if we lived in that sort of chaos soup, then we wouldn't even possess the ability to give attention to subjects in general. We'd just be glassy-eyed and totally disconnected from our humanity, from that which makes us human, which is our ability to choose, to give our attention to things. And if that sounds terrifying, it's because it is, right? It's so absurd. But there's no need to worry. Honestly, what I just described is so far-fetched that the human mind couldn't even really perceive such a silly setup. Even by giving the idea of total chaos our attention, we are utilizing that which makes us human. Attention. We're giving our attention to an absurdity, which just proves my point even more. There's a redundancy at play here that few people ever stop to consider. Attention is attention is attention. Write that down. Because we have these thinking, perceiving minds, we are always giving our attention to something. It's impossible not to. It's impossible to separate ourselves from whatever reality we are attending our thoughts to. You will always be a thinker. You will always be a noticer. You will always get to choose something, and it's the choosing that makes you special and unique. You don't want to give that away, and you don't want to assign it to chaos. Because attention is all that truly matters in the end. What are you focusing upon? Are you doing so generally or specifically? And why? That's all that life really is. It's just a series of choices and figuring out why we made those choices in that moment. How did we feel? But I'm not talking about big life choices like your job, your car, your favorite food. These things don't matter in the end. I'm talking about your emotional choices. I'm talking about your temperament. Your temperament, your emotional center, that's what matters. That's the clearest indication of your real identity. Everything else about you is fleeting. All of these worldly possessions, they come and go. They shine for a minute, but eventually they accumulate dust. You brought nothing with you into this world, and you get to take nothing out except for one thing: your temperament, your emotional core, your perspective. And if your perspective shifts moment to moment, chaotically, like the wind blows, then you are living a life of chaos. You are choosing to live that way. And choosing chaos always means you're choosing a limited perspective. This lesson makes better sense if you can zoom out of your specific life and go more general and think about your life from a broader perspective. I mean, seriously, how do you know that whatever negative thing, quote unquote, that you're dealing with right now in your life won't end up being the biggest benefit to you in the future? How do you know? I mean, ask successful people, any successful person, and they almost always say some version of the same thing. They say that they are most proud of overcoming the problems of life and finding solutions. And it was in the finding of solutions that they made their fortunes. In the end, though, it's not the fortunes that they're most proud of. They're most proud of their families. They're most proud of who was around them. Even though it's hard raising children, right? These people are most proud of the relationships they made along the way, even though those relationships can sometimes be strained over the years. Happens all the time. It was in moving past the struggle and seeing the bigger picture that they gained the wisdom of broader perspective. Just as you and I were both created by a broader perspective, this universe was created by a broader perspective, so too is it in your best interest to broaden your own perspective in the case of perceiving negativity. Obviously, positivity you can get more specific about. In the end, as these successful people all wither away, generation after generation, and their old problems become pretty insignificant all of a sudden, what do? They all simplify their outlook at the end. And they say, I'm happy that I got a chance to love and be loved. It's really that simple. And it's the case for everyone who is able to look back on their life with a broader, wiser perspective. There's no one keeping you from finding that perspective right now. If you enjoy this kind of work, if you enjoy these kinds of videos, please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much. And please reach out to me with questions. Love you guys.